I hope they fire Hardball because he goes, we'll hire him in a heartbeat.
That fan's not going. We need batteries.
It's good to have Julianne and Lydia with us, granddaughters to John and Cindy. And Nick, I don't see Haley in here just yet, but I have to give you all a real salute. You're doing really well. Getting up and getting here to Bible class. And Haley's due probably any day, but I think she has a consult with the doctor this week. And what's the official due date? The 6th?
The official due date's the 7th.
7th.
But she's got an appointment tomorrow, and they'll probably set a date to either induce or...
So she may
Which
come,
will be this
maybe
Friday.
they arrive a little early.
Yeah, Friday or Monday.
And Nick, do you guys know if it's a boy or a girl yet? Isn't that exciting? It would be really big news if it was a girl, but we'll take them at a time. I'm going to send around a pastry sign up. In fact, let me get the clipboard to go with it. I'm kind of running in slow motion this morning. Is everybody else? I figure I'm tripping from the... Okay, somebody took the clipboard that was back here. I don't know. I'll just pass this around. Some of you have already done it. That's a sign up for the pastries that begin next Sunday morning. If you've already signed it, just move it along. And a few announcements before we get started. First of all, our sympathy. You can see in today's newsletter that Trudy Wood's brother passed away in Crestview. He was, Keith, did you tell me 79?
71.
71. And there's not going to be a funeral or anything. He had been sick and had a heart attack and
About
aneurysm.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So they're not coming back for any funeral or anything, but please keep them in your prayers. Floyd Forshaw was his name. And also, please keep Dave Wood in your prayers. And Nellie Trent hasn't been feeling real chipper this week. Keep her. And as I mentioned, the Wildmans with their newborn coming soon. And then we have a few that are traveling in addition to Shannon Drury being gone already. Sean and Brenda are in Tennessee this week visiting with Brenda's family. I think it's somewhere not too far from Nashville. And as we have announced in the past, her father, Jerry Colbert, is really sick with cancer again. So,
Terry,
yes.
my cousin's in the hospital, people have been in intensive care. He's had problems breathing in his lungs, and they're not sure exactly where the blood's coming from. So his name is David Thornton.
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 Yeah. Thornton. Please keep him in the prayers. And I know that Henderson's are delayed a little bit in leaving to go south because of some home maintenance issues. And I think Larry and Carol are headed south after Gerard. Did Gerard win last night? Does
Yes,
anybody
they
know?
did.
They did?
They did.
Well, that one must have been quite a
Might be
comeback.
here another week.
Yeah, that's cool. I listened to, I tracked it down about 8:30 and they were behind by like, I don't know, 2 touchdowns going into the halftime, or at halftime. And I thought this will be tricky, and they came right out and marched down the field and scored a touchdown, and that's quite a team this year. So I guess we'll have Pearsons for a little while longer. Let's bow in prayer. Heavenly Father, we have gathered with family and loved ones, most all of us, in different settings this past week. And surely we've taken time to count our many blessings as we ought to do all the time. And so for everything, not only our rich spiritual blessings in Christ our Lord, but for all of the things around us, we give you praise and honor. Bless us today as we study together about building our family strong. Through Christ we pray. Amen. One more thing, I'm not just killing time here, although I wouldn't mind if this lesson would. Dick's going to have, I think, one lesson in this series if we can squeeze it in, if the baby will permit, and if the schedule allows. He wants to talk a little bit. I wanted to talk about intentional aging, and that may have you puzzled, but sometimes think about another dimension of it, which may mean starting out as a young man or a young woman with intentions of where you want to be, 4 years down the road. And that's a wonderful thought. Vic and Brian, can you imagine somebody young from the time they're little? I don't know that this was true with you guys. I don't think with Vic, because he was probably busy doing things he should have been doing when he was that age. But to think about aspiring to be an elder when you're still in your teens, not that you're going to be an elder in your teens, but intentionally thinking, I want to so live my life that, now, you can set yourself up for some heartache there if you're not appointed, but boy, I think the likelihood is that if you put your mind on something like that at an early age, but that's just one aspect of it. So give thought what do you think could be discussed under the canopy of intentional aging? All right, today let's talk about in-laws. When we hear marriage counseling experts talk, or we read their books or watch their shows or whatever, there's almost always two big issues that come up that cause a great deal of conflict, especially among newlyweds. Maybe not just among newlyweds, maybe it's includes the whole gamut of people married at different lengths of time and different ages and that. And these are, as we might be able to guess, sex and money. Sounds like a soap opera. But there's another big one that doesn't always get nearly as much publicity, except maybe from the comedic world, where everybody, I tell this, I don't have many jokes in my satchel, but one that I think is funny, which Jeannie thinks I'm weird for thinking it's funny, and we all know I'm weird anyway, so you have to just accept it, I guess, is what's the difference between an in-law and an outlaw? And the answer is that in-laws are wanted. Oh, outlaws are wanted. I blew the joke. Outlaws are wanted, in-laws are not. Well, it's really not a laughing matter, because this tension that can develop between households, and I don't know, the mother-in-law always gets the bad rap, seems like, but as we say here from the outset, this is a two-way street. I mean, you could be a bad father-in-law, but the problem may not be so much that you're a bad father-in-law, and I don't think you are, you just point it big here. The problem might be on the other end. The son-in-law or the daughter-in-law, they've got problems. So, and then the multiplication effect, when you have a family of, with a couple children, and then they all get married and have in-laws, and you start growing contacts, and it's like a web. And to get all of that functioning, not only for you to get along with your in-laws, but for each of your kids to get along with each of their in-laws, Well, let's look at the top of our notes here as we start. One young wife offered the following, I call it a confession. She didn't call it that, but that's my word. She said, Ryan's mother wasn't shy about expressing her disapproval of me. But then it wasn't much better for Ryan when it came to my parents. In fact, I had never seen them act so rudely to anyone. And then she added, visiting parents on either side of the family came to be a stressful ordeal for both of us. I think if I ask for shows of hand today, it may prove to be embarrassing or hurtful maybe because you might have in-laws here in the congregation, so I'm not going to do that. But can you imagine this, or have you seen it? And let's go vague here. Have you seen this scenario working out in the lives of maybe yourself or your kids or their kids, your grandchildren, where there's this atmosphere of tension? Vic?
I remember my mom telling me that when she told her mom that she was going to marry my dad, she said, her mom told her, don't you marry that Italian. They'll give you 12 kids, stab you, and leave you. So that didn't start off right.
Jeannie grew up as the daughter of a preacher, and Jack, my father-in-law, whom I love dearly, he had moved a lot. That was kind of the norm back then. But they lived in Florida, Texas, and Florida, and Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee. And Jack was very connected with the school of Free Hardeman. He went there, and he was quite conservative in his views. Well, he sent his daughter, Jeannie, to Free Hardeman, and Jeannie went for 2 years. It wasn't the best 2 years of her life, but she did enjoy her time there. So she said she had some of the best teachers she ever had. And then she transferred to Harding, which Jack had also, I think, had he gone to Harding?
Yeah.
And he had connections with Harding. He had friends that were there. He and Jimmy Allen were friends. But anyway, to make a long story short, Jeannie met me, and of all the people to meet, I was one who had a different view of eschatology, and at that point in time, this was a really heated issue back in our brotherhood, to the point where people would divide and ostracize and even disfellowship over the view. So, of all fellas to come home to meet her dad, Jeannie had to bring me. And then this, I have a hard time when I think something is truth, just not sharing it with somebody else. So this became I don't want to say a bone of contention in that I guess there were times where you and your mom would know that we had been talking eschatology just by the look on Jack's face or maybe the look on my face. So sometimes you have obstacles that you're not wanting them to be there, but they're there. Okay, so I find a sweet girl that I want to marry, and she becomes the apple of my eye and love of my life. When I speak my vows with her dad officiating at the service, I might add, do I vow to never open my mouth about something that's controversial doctrinally? Is that what it's going to take to keep peace in the households? Well, that's a struggle that a lot of people, maybe not that particular level of it, but so let's start out at the bottom here with some of our questions, and let's just see if we can work our way back. And I welcome any of your comments. Number one, how important is it for parents to let go of their newlywed child? And I have child in quotes. When your children grow up and they come to the point where they get married, and this is oftentimes, again, not always, but sometimes a mother-in-law issue, it's really hard to let go. I think I've seen this work itself out. But my question, maybe it's not worded enough to get a lot of stimulation. How important is it that you let go?
Critically important.
Critically, isn't it?
That's where the hurt feelings of the in-laws and outlaws come in.
I was the only son for the longest time until my parents, they got involved in fostering children, and they ended up adopting my brother Jerry. But so when I married Jeannie, my mother, I don't think Jeannie's ever felt that I'm sure she could share some stories here that would say some things, and I'm okay if you want to do that. But I don't think my mother ever looked in on us as if this is my boy and you better, Jeannie's shaking her head now, thank goodness. Somebody has written a book here, a lady, I haven't read it, but the title really captured my attention. Look at the title here, if you want to order it, maybe sometime. I guess if your wife ever orders this, or your son ever orders it, it may be indicative that they might have a potential problem going on. It's called The Mother-in-Law Dance. Can two women who love the same man still get along? Linda, you say no? Are you talking from experience?
One's your mother-in-law and one's your wife, no.
It's hard, isn't it, sometimes, especially if you have a mother-in-law who's so domineering. And there's another question here that connects with number one. So sometimes, all the time, when a new marriage begins, it's important, however difficult it might be, for the mom and dad of the child being married, and I'm in a stereotypical young age of newlyweds, maybe just out of college or still maybe in their early 20s or whatever, that mom and dad have to step back and let them do it. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean, no, I'm not going to say a word? I'm not going to give any advice? You're on your own. Swim, sink or swim. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about micromanaging. We're talking about being bossy, about trying to chart the way for every little detail. And here let's go to another question here that connects to this. A couple of them do, actually. Number two, how damaging is it when parental in-laws are constantly interfering? And not only interfering, but criticizing. And as I say, micromanaging. Why do people do that?
They want to be in control.
Sometimes they want the best for the couple,
Yeah.
and they think they know what's best for the couple, and it may not be. So you have to find a tactful way
Good comment.
to let them know.
And-
You're doing it your way.
And regarding your comment, and I'm trying not to retaliate here, but everybody gets on me because I want to tell people where to sit down when we go on a Terry tour or whatever. And sometimes they even say, we're not sitting down till you come in and give us, well, the last time everybody found their own seat and it worked out great. But I don't do that because I go home and I say, boy, I'm the best table arranger around. Nobody better ever get in my way. I'm the leader of that. I do that because we go into a restaurant and it takes 10 minutes for people to figure out where they're going to sit. And so they start looking, where do you want? I don't care, you sit. When you walk in and you tell everybody, sit wherever you want, it's like, we need a shepherd here to tell us where to sit. So it's not always that mom and dad are trying to force their way into the situation. It might be that they look at their son and their daughter-in-law, and they're going back and forth, what do you want to do? You want to do this, I want to do that. Then it would be so easy for the father-in-law to step in and say, hey, let me help you all decide what to do.
But your question is, how damaging is it when parental in-laws are constantly interfering, criticizing, and trying to micromanage? Now that's when you're being controlled.
Yeah, okay, you're right about that, and that was the point of my question. When it's constant and when it's critical and interfering, there's nothing wrong with laying plans out together and making suggestions, but when it's interfering.
All three of my brothers have been married, and at one time or another have had the in-laws living with them. My youngest brother, his mother-in-law was in Tennessee, and just within the last month has moved back up to West Virginia because they have a baby now that's a year old, and she wanted to be close to them. He said, she's not coming back in my house.
I was going to follow up by asking, did it work out okay, but maybe that...
Some do, some don't. Now, my brother Cecil, his wife's parents were from Brazil. They left their country, and they came, and they became U.S. citizens because both of their daughters are now in the States. But whenever the youngest grandchild graduates, they say they're going back to Brazil again. But they lived with them when they first came over here, but now they have a house. But it's like literally right around the corner from where my brother lives, so they live there all the time.
I have a brother-in-law living with me, and I love him, and I think he loves me, but sometimes it's challenging. From both, I mean, Mark would tell you, I'm going to preach a sermon this morning on people that steal our joy, and he might, if he had, I hope he doesn't get local, but if he was to chime up during the sermon, he might stand up and say, you're the one that robs my joy. But you see, part of that robbing his joy is to tell him, get off the couch! The couch isn't for sleeping on. Your bed's for sleeping on. And that robs his joy. So you can choose, and I'm sure he can give you illustrations of where I'm the one that's needing support. Somebody have their hand up? Shirley?
If you're not asked for advice, don't give it. Only give it when you're asked.
Oh, that's a pretty good one, isn't it? It sounds so simple.
It's not necessarily easy, but works out pretty well if you do that.
Considering that when you are asked and you give it and they ignore it so many times.
Yeah, this is advice that isn't sought after becomes meddling. And I don't know, we just have a tendency to kind of build up a resistance to that, even if it's our dear mother-in-law, and we know she has good intentions. Number 3, well, let's hold that one for a minute. Is it necessary to allow for differences? Well, sure. I mean, we all know that when we marry, there's going to be different ways of doing things. I had my ways of doing things. Jeannie had her ways of doing things. We marry, and then we have to chart compromises all along the way. So let's just say that that's a given for any situation. And why we should have to state that so plainly is because it seems to be ignored. A lot of times families almost impose this idea that this is the way we do it. Okay, well, that's the way you did it in your family, but now these are 2 mingled families, and our family didn't do it that way. You know, the holidays are one of the most controversial times for families. I talked to the guy at Minus, I was getting some work done, and I said, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? He said, oh man, it's going to be wonderful. He said, it's just, he said, we have a little turkey and then we watch ball games all day long. And he said, we don't have my family there, we don't have her family, it's just a day. And he said, it's the greatest holiday in the world, from his point of view, that way. And then I said, what do you do at Christmas? And then he kind of rolled his eyes. And it was kind of like, well, we got to go to her family, and then we got to go to my family. And we all know the struggle that can come from that sometimes. So
We used to do Thanksgiving with John's family, because his family didn't celebrate Christmas together, and they would do Christmas with my family.
good compromises. I don't know what Keith's doing. It's like he's wandering around outside. I hope his dementia hasn't kicked in. Okay.
We were with my dad last night.
Oh, okay. Number 5, again, it is obvious here. Does it go without saying that there's going to be occasions when you need to bite your tongue?
Probably like 98%.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't. That's one of my biggest weaknesses. Jeannie will sometimes say, just let it go. Let it go. And that's almost like waving a red flag. I don't know why. When she says let it go, it makes me want to let it go. You know, but not the way she. Nick, put your hand up.
Yeah, one of the, we're like right in that situation. And we've got families so close on both sides. Even, we live, our parents we both split house, but even her parents live, 3 miles across town. We've got family all over. It has been struggles. I don't want to say they struggle. Well, I guess it'd be a good term. There's been struggles where like people get their feelings hurt, and sometimes I think people look at it and you could say, oh, it's not working, or something like that, where like our outlook from the beginning is like, no, this is the lifestyle that we want to live because we think it's better for our kids, we think it's better. And so with the intention of, kind of like you never use the D word when you're married, you never use the word divorce when you're in a conversation.
Yeah.
Like there's no, oh, well, this isn't working. It's figure it out, be intentional. How do we make this work? How do we communicate? How do we improve this? And it doesn't matter how many talks. And just since we've been married, we've seen a huge change on, give and take from us. And our parents would be a good example. We were just talking the other day, like we live so close and our relationship's been better than ever, probably for the last year even, or something like that. But it's taken hard, intentional work and communication because it is not natural.
That's remarkable, really, and we applaud you on that, and we hope it continues to go that way. And the fact that you're talking about it with cool heads is a good sign. Let's segue back up here to right above questions where Dr. Dobson, who often has a lot of good things to say, he's talking about, yes, we owe our in-laws honor. And again, remember, a two-way street. Not just we need to honor our mother-in-law and father-in-law, but they need to honor their son-in-law and daughter-in-law. And so it goes both ways. But this honoring, especially now with the focus on honoring our mother-in-law and father-in-law, he says, number one, there's 3 things in particular that it doesn't demand. Number one, it doesn't require that you submerge all of your feelings, desires, preferences, and needs in the service of doing things their way. I grew up having, I'm just making a stab at this. Let's say I grew up on Thanksgiving, we always had the 7 same things. And then I married Jeannie, and she wants to say, no, we're not having that this year. We're going to do something different. And then we invite my parents down, and I don't see that would ever have been a problem. But my point is, we get so rigid sometimes, and if an in-law says, oh no, that you get, these are. I suppose in the Catholic Church with the fish stuff, maybe that could be a real deal breaker. But Vic?
If you submerge all your own feelings, desires, and preferences, I think you're showing immaturity. You are now a married couple.
Yeah.
You're gonna figure out between the two of you what you're gonna do.
If you were so willing to do that without maybe putting up a fight, it might be indicative that there's problems in your marriage from the outset. The way we handle it. Number 2, Dobson says, it doesn't permit them to disrespect, control, or manipulate you for their own selfish ends. And a lot of times that happens, especially when it has to do with grandchildren, care, and all of that stuff. Number 3, it doesn't entail obeying all of their parental requests or requirements, which Dobson says in some instances, he added, especially with some in-laws, it gets pretty crazy. It can get pretty crazy. Some in-laws are just really out there. And
Just watch Chevy Chase's Christmas. The whole family comes over, Cousin Eddie and all that. You kind of shows you a lot that goes on in real life.
well, number 7 is a point I want us to think about. How hurtful is it to the parents of either male or female newlywed when a decision is made to just sign on? Just imagine Nick and Haley, maybe they're having trouble with Pam and Ronnie, nitpicking or interfering or whatever. I'm not meaning to imply that anything like that's going on. But they just end up deciding, you know, we're gonna cut mom and dad out of the Nick's, Ron and Pam, but we're gonna cut them out of the picture. And we're not gonna write them a letter and say from now on you're not gonna have anything to do with our family, but we just put them on the side. What do you think of that? Preposterous? Ridiculous? It happens a lot. Is it putting up a white flag that says we can't deal with this, so we're just gonna have to go in kind of a timeout mode and you sit on the sidelines and you're not, I mean, that's not the way to work things out, is it?
Stick with your husband. You didn't marry the family, stick with the husband, and you want your marriage. Because an in-law can work the most. And it doesn't matter if you're 18, 22, 36, 48, they are married, it does not matter. That's still your little boy, and you took him away. And if you have to deal with that kind of a situation, you have to be the strong person. There's a lot of give and take. Our marriage didn't last like it would have had if I did it. We were told our marriage would last for 6 months. And we said, oh, that's not good. Everybody knows my mother-in-law.
Good for you.
I don't have to say a word about that, but I don't think she liked that I was there at her death, at her bedside, with her 2 kids and the minister. I'm sure that did not sit well with her, but no matter what, I was with my husband.
She was different, for sure. Keith's saying time to wrap it.
Don't get me on the roll.
He doesn't even know what we were talking about, he just came in. Keith, you have to stop wandering during Bible class. You were out in the parking lot, weren't you?
I went to Walmart, had to get some.
Hey, Terry,
Yes, Steve,
you
you
know, I
asked me.
think number 6 might be the most important point. How essential is it to extend acceptance, warmth, love, forgiveness, grace, tolerance, patience?
Yeah.
I really think that if you love somebody, you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and you're going to lead with grace, even when there's things that aren't right. You don't have to jump on every situation that isn't just how it should be, that's not leading with grace.
Very good.
And if you think about not being able to do those things, maybe it's yourself you need to examine. And do I really love this person the way God loves me?
Very good comment.
Terry,
I was
one last
hoping to
thing.
say that for next week and have a whole other class on it with you.
Terry, one last thing.
Linda and then Nick.
One last thing. I'm married and divorced husband with kids, okay? There are kids involved, okay? You have to keep the communication lines together. I don't know what Carol thought of me, whatever, but when she called, she was talking to Keith. I answered the phone. You've got to keep the communication lines open. When we first was able to meet his youngest son, we did it because Bucky was out of the house and he lived at Georgie, and we met. He was at the bottom of the driveway. He didn't get in the house, he didn't do anything. But on her, when she was in her last stages of life, her and I had the best conversations ever. It was not I
Hostile.
don't know what the situation was in the beginning. Was she afraid to meet me? I mean, we don't know about any of that. But she talked sincerely with me, and, a couple hours at least, honey?
That's
By
great.
herself. So things can turn around.
Good story there, Linda. That's a tribute to you. Nick, last one.
I love the story that Donna and Mike told when we were at lunch, and how intentional Donna's father was towards Mike. Taking him and
She's somebody we know.
That's
Remember,
right. The conversation at the Phillips,
Oh, okay.
and how her dad took Mike and did Bible study. Didn't just nitpick and stuff, but really built their relationship in order to have conversations that can be had because he built the relationship to get there. He didn't just bash them.
just let it happen.
Very good. Maybe we'll kick off with some of those last three comments next week. Okay, thank you.